Human man's passion for alien woman pits Earth against alien planet. The relay wasn't supposed to explode. At least, not while Elias had his hands inside it. One moment he was tightening a loose coupling with all the grace of a man wrestling a caffeinated octopus, and the next he was on his back, suit scorched, ears ringing, and stars spinning overhead like a bad carnival ride. Note to self, he muttered through the static in his helmet. Stop volunteering for repair duty. Leave it to the professionals, or at least someone who doesn't confuse a plasma coil with a toaster. The edge of Litharus atmosphere glimmered below him, a pale green haze wrapped around a planet that looked too beautiful to be constantly threatening Earth with annihilation. His ship, the Resolute, hovered in orbit like a disgruntled parent waiting for him to finish his chores. Elias tried to wave cheerfully at it, but his glove was smoking. That was when she appeared. At first he thought he'd hallucinated her, a slim figure gliding toward him, silhouetted against the green curve of the planet. Her suit was sleek, alien in design, but the face inside the transparent helm was unmistakably human-like. Almost. Her skin shimmered faintly, as though moonlight had taken up residence beneath it, and her ears were long, curving upward like delicate blades. She stopped just short of him, watching with an expression that hovered between pity and amusement. "You're leaking," she said in perfect standard, voice clear and calm. Elias looked down. His suit was venting a thin trail of oxygen, curling into space like smoke from a candle. He coughed. "It's a new fashion trend. Very chic. I call it the suffocating spaceman look. Popular with idiots." Her lips twitched, and then, to his astonishment, she laughed, a sound like static resolving into music. She extended a hand, and before he could protest, she sealed the breach with a patch device that looked suspiciously like glowing chewing gum. "You should be dead," she said lightly. "Story of my career," Elias replied. "I'm Captain Elias Rourke of the Resolute." "And you are?" "Serenya," she said. Her long ears shifted slightly, like they were alive, adjusting to some rhythm of space he couldn't hear. "Guardian of Litharus. You are trespassing." "Not trespassing," Elias corrected, floating awkwardly as he tried to straighten. "Repairing. Very different. Trespassers sneak. Repairmen get electrocuted." The faint smile stayed on her lips. "Your world sends warships to orbit ours, and you call it repairs." "Technically," Elias said, "my ship is just diplomatically parked." "Armed. Lightly armed. Heavily dented. Honestly, more of a space jalopy." Her eyes narrowed, but there was warmth in them. "You are not what I expected." "Dashingly handsome. Heroically incompetent. A man with a talent for exploding expensive equipment." "All of those," Serenya said, though her tone was dry enough to dehydrate a planet. They hovered there in silence for a moment, two enemies, not quite enemies, suspended between worlds. Elias knew he should call an encounter. Protocol demanded it, but his comm system had been fried in the explosion, and secretly, he was glad. "Do you always wander out here saving strangers from their own stupidity?" he asked. "I was sent to watch," she replied. "Your repairs look more like sabotage. I thought perhaps you were trying to disable your own relay." Elias sighed. "I'm flattered you think I'm clever enough for sabotage. Sadly, I'm just bad at my job." Her ears flicked in what might have been amusement. "If your commanders knew how badly, they would not trust you with a ship." "Oh, they know," Elias said. "That's why they keep sending me on diplomatic missions. Easier to risk me than someone competent." Serenya tilted her head, studying him. "You joke often. It's a survival strategy. If I can't shoot my way out of trouble, I laugh at it until it gets confused and leaves me alone." For the first time, her expression softened fully into a smile, and Elias felt something tighten in his chest. Dangerous, he thought. Very dangerous. A warning tone buzzed in his helmet. Oxygen levels dropping. His patch job was holding, but the relay explosion had drained his suit's reserves. Serenya noticed immediately. "You cannot make it back to your ship in time." Elias tried to grin, though his throat felt dry. "Guess this is where I thank you for the gum patch, and request a dramatic funeral. Maybe with fireworks." Definitely fireworks. Instead, Serenya seized his arm, her strength surprising. "Hold on," she ordered. Then, with a burst from her thrusters, they shot toward the green shimmer of Litharus' orbital platform. Elias whooped involuntarily, the rush tearing through his fear. "You know, this is easily the best first date I've ever had." Serenya's laugh came again, brighter this time, even as alarm screamed around them. She pulled him into the docking bay, sealed the airlock, and yanked off her helmet with a practiced motion. Her long ears twitched as she shook out her hair, and her eyes locked onto his. "You should not be here," she said, breathless but firm. "Your people and mine are one spar from war." Elias, peeling off his own battered helmet, met her gaze. "Yeah, but you saved me anyway." Her silence was heavy, filled with unspoken things. Then, almost reluctantly, she said, "Perhaps I should have let you drift." "Harsh," Elias said, "but then you'd miss my dazzling personality, and my truly terrible jokes." Her ears flicked again. Perhaps that would have been a mercy. But she was smiling, and Elias knew, with a sudden clarity that made his stomach lurch worse than zero gravity ever had, that nothing about his life, or the fragile peace between their worlds, was ever going to be the same. Elias had been in worse situations, but not many. Usually, when someone dragged him into an alien orbital platform without clearance, it ended with the stern lecture, a fine, and occasionally an offer to never come back. This time, it felt more like being smuggled into the enemy's throne room with a giant neon sign over his head blinking. "Unauthorized human, please arrest." Serenya walked ahead with the kind of grace that made his stumbling boots sound like a marching band. Lithirian soldiers glanced their way, weapons slung across their shoulders, but no one moved to stop them. Either Serenya's presence was enough to silence questions, or Elias really did look too pitiful to be worth arresting. "I feel underdressed," Elias muttered, adjusting the torn seam on his suit. "Do you all walk around looking like shiny demigods, or is it just you?" "Be quiet," Serenya said, but her long ears twitched as if betraying amusement. "You are fortunate I claimed you as a rescued prisoner." "Prisoner?" Elias raised his brows. "I was hoping for honored guest. Maybe with snacks." Her glance over her shoulder was sharp, but her lips fought a smile. "Do you always make jokes when facing imprisonment?" "Absolutely. I once joked during a disciplinary hearing. They added another week of cleaning duty, but the look on the commander's face was worth it." The corridors curved with strange geometry, as though the architects had decided straight lines were an insult to physics. Holograms flickered across the walls, Lithirian constellations, strange beasts with wings like sails, entire stories told in light. Elias stared too long and almost tripped over his own feet. "You are easily distracted," Serenya said. "Not my fault. Your walls are telling bedtime stories." "They tell history," she corrected. "Stories of who we are. Well, for the record, our walls on Earth mostly tell you to wash your hands and don't steal office supplies." "Yours are definitely winning." Finally, they entered a chamber that seemed quieter than the rest, its walls humming softly with hidden energy. Serenya turned and faced him, her expression harder now, less playful. "You should not be here," she said again. "Your people and mine signed a fragile treaty. Your presence will be seen as spying, or worse." Elias raised his hands in mock surrender. "Technically, I was outside fixing a relay. Then I blew myself up. Then you swooped in like some kind of long-eared guardian angel. If anyone asks, I'm just unlucky, not treacherous." Her ears flicked, uncertain this time. "Luck does not explain why my people will suspect me of collaboration. Already, they will whisper that I saved you for reasons beyond duty." Elias tilted his head. "And those reasons would be?" Her eyes narrowed. "Do not make me say it." "Fair enough," he said. "But for the record, if anyone asks, I'll tell them you saved me because I'm charming, witty, and devastatingly attractive. No one will believe it, but it'll make a great rumor." Serenya's silence was long enough that Elias wondered if she might actually eject him back into space. Instead, she sighed, the sound almost human in its weariness. "You cannot stay here. But you cannot leave either." Not yet. Your suit is damaged, and your ship will not retrieve you without raising alarms. So, you will remain until I find a solution. Great, Elias said, clapping his hands once. Temporary house arrest with a mysterious alien woman. Honestly, this is the best mission I've had in years. Her glare was immediate. Do not mistake this for hospitality. You will not wander. You will not speak to anyone. You will stay hidden. Got it. Hidden. Silent. Like a ninja. Except I squeak when I walk. Despite herself, her lips twitched. I regret saving you. No, you don't, Elias said with a grin. Otherwise, who would you practice your scowling on? She turned away before he could see her ears flick again. The hours passed strangely. Serenya left him in a chamber with a narrow cot and a console that projected holographic shapes. When he touched it, he spent an hour trying to make it play chess, then gave up and programmed it to generate random dad jokes in Litherian. Serenya returned to find him laughing alone. What are you doing? She demanded. Cultural exchange, Elias said proudly. Did you know your language has 17 different words for awkward silence? I've been cataloging them. Very useful around you. Her exasperation was palpable, but Elias thought he caught the tiniest curve of her mouth before she turned away. Later, she brought him a tray of food, thin slices of something that shimmered faintly, and a drink that fizzed like angry soda. Elias sniffed it suspiciously. If this kills me, he said, please tell my crew I went out heroically, not that I choked on alien jello. It will not kill you, Serenya said, setting down her own tray. Unless you eat too much. Then it will kill you. Elias stared. You're joking. Her long ears twitched as she took a delicate bite. Perhaps. They ate in silence for a while, the hum of the platform filling the gaps. Elias found himself watching her, not just the alien details, the faint glow of her skin, the twitch of her ears, but the way she focused on every bite, precise and thoughtful, as though eating was an art. When she caught him staring, he quickly said, I was just thinking, if our people weren't so busy hating each other, we'd make excellent dinner companions. Her eyes held his, unreadable. Then she shook her head. You are impossible. And yet, Elias said with a lopsided smile, here I am. Her laugh came soft, reluctant, but it was there. And in that moment, Elias knew the whispers of treachery would come, no matter what either of them did. Because sometimes, one laugh was more dangerous than a dozen weapons. Elias woke to the sound of something buzzing near his ear. At first he thought it was a mosquito, which would have been impressive given that he was light years from Earth and sealed inside an alien orbital platform. Then he realized it was a hovering Litherian drone, blinking a dozen blue eyes at him like an overcaffeinated firefly. Morning, Elias said, sitting up on the narrow cot. Do you do coffee? Or just stare at people until they're fully awake? The drone beeped once, recorded his words, and zipped out of the chamber. Elias rubbed his face. Great. I've just given my first official testimony to a flying Roomba. Moments later, Serenya appeared. Her long ears twitched as though she'd already heard the story from the drone. You should not speak to them, she said. Too late, Elias replied. We're practically pen pals now. Her frown was sharp, but her eyes betrayed amusement. The drones record everything. You risk discovery. I risk discovery every time I breathe loudly, Elias countered. Besides, I'd rather the entire station know I want coffee than think I'm plotting sabotage. Serenya shook her head, but she motioned for him to follow. Come, you have stayed hidden long enough. I cannot keep you locked in a chamber without raising suspicion. Elias followed her through the winding corridors, noting the soldiers giving them sidelong glances. So what's the cover story? You're dragging me to the airlock for recycling? Because if so, I'd like a last meal. Preferably something that doesn't glow in the dark. Do not speak, she muttered. That's going to be difficult. She stopped, turned, and fixed him with a look so stern that Elias actually raised his hands in surrender. Fine, fine. Silent as the void. Not a word. He lasted approximately 30 seconds. This silence thing is killing me, he whispered as they entered a vast chamber, filled with floating holograms of star systems. But hey, nice decor. Very cosmic chic. Serenya sighed. Elias. What? I said I wouldn't talk loudly. Around them, Letherian officials moved through the chamber, their robes gleaming with threads of light. At the center, a council of elders floated in low-gravity seats, their long ears arched high like antennas tuned to secrets. Serenya brought Elias before them, and though his stomach tightened, he forced a crooked smile. One elder leaned forward. A human. Elias gave a little wave. Hi. Don't mind me. Just here on vacation. Your hotels are terrible, by the way. The chamber filled with murmurs, some hostile, some curious. Serenya spoke quickly in her own language, her words sharp and clear. Elias caught fragments: guardian, rescue, accident. The elder's ears twitched in slow unison, a silent conversation he couldn't decode. Finally, another elder asked, Why should we believe he is not a spy? Elias considered staying silent. He really did. But then his mouth opened. Honestly, if I were a spy, I'd be the worst one in history. I blew up my own equipment, nearly suffocated, and then got caught joking with your drones. If that's espionage, you should ask for a refund. A ripple of laughter, brief, startled, ran through the chamber. Serenya closed her eyes, like she was begging her ancestors for patience. The eldest elder raised a hand. Your humor does not excuse your presence. You will remain confined until our council decides your fate. Elias saluted with mock solemnity. Confinement? My favorite. At least tell me you've got better food than glowing gelatin. The guards escorted him back, though not roughly. As they left the chamber, Serenya hissed under her breath. You are reckless. Reckless? Elias whispered back. I call it strategic charm. Charm does not win wars. Good, Elias said. I wasn't planning to win one. I was planning to survive one. Back in his chamber, Serenya lingered. For the first time since meeting her, she looked uncertain. The council suspects me now, she admitted. They think I protected you for personal reasons. Elias leaned back on the cot. Well, they're half right. You did protect me. But don't worry, I'll make sure everyone knows you only saved me because I'm pathetic, not because you like me. Her ears twitched, a betraying flicker. Do not flatter yourself. Too late, Elias said. It's the only thing keeping me sane. The next day, things escalated. Earth's fleet broadcast a message demanding the immediate return of their captain. Lithyrus accused them of staging his capture as a ploy. The relay Elias had tried to fix went dark again, severing fragile communications. Warships drifted into position like predators circling each other. Elias heard all of it through the thin walls of his chamber, through the worried tone of Serenya's voice when she brought him food. It is starting, she said one evening. The sparks are falling. Soon there will be fire. Then we need a bucket of water, Elias replied, or at least a good fire extinguisher. This is not a jest. I know. He softened his voice. But if I stop joking, I start panicking. And panicking never saved a planet. She studied him for a long moment. Then, in a whisper, she asked, Why do you keep speaking to me as though we are allies? Because I want us to be, Elias said simply. And because if the universe insists we're enemies, I'd rather break the rules than lose the chance to prove it wrong. Her ears stilled, as if she were holding her breath. Then, quietly, almost against her will, Serenya laughed. Just once, short and sharp. But Elias caught it. And in that fragile sound, he felt something shift. For the first time, he wondered if the war building outside their walls might not be inevitable after all. Not if he and Serenya could keep laughing, even in the dark. Elias was pacing in circles, which was hard to do in a chamber that curved in ways that defied his sense of balance. Every 3 steps, he'd bump into a wall he was convinced wasn't there the first time around. Your architects have a personal vendetta against straight lines, he muttered. I'm starting to feel like a hamster in a spherical cage. Serenya stood at the entrance, arms crossed, long ears angled back. You are supposed to be resting, not pacing. Resting is hard when I might be the reason our species are about to throw nukes at each other, Elias said. Besides, I can't sit still when I know Earth Command is probably drafting up a very unflattering obituary for me. Probably with typos. You think too highly of yourself. They may simply forget you. Now that's harsh, Elias said, grinning despite himself. At least let me imagine they'll name a star after me. Or a small, lopsided asteroid. Captain Elias, the rock nobody wanted. Her ears twitched, betraying a suppressed laugh. You should not joke about war. I should definitely joke about war, Elias countered. Otherwise, I'll start screaming, and screaming is bad for morale. Before she could answer, the chamber door slid open, and the little drone from before zipped inside, lights flashing frantically. Serenya stiffened, catching its transmission instantly. They are moving fleets into strike formation, she said. Elias froze. Which fleets? Theirs or ours? Both. Fantastic. Nothing like a good mutual annihilation to start the morning. Did they at least have coffee first? She ignored him, speaking rapidly into a wrist console. The drone beeped in agitation, then zipped away. Serenya turned back to him, eyes sharp. We cannot stay here. The council has decided your presence is too dangerous. They mean to hand you over. Elias blinked. Hand me over? That sounds almost civilized. What's the catch? The catch is they will stage your handover at the moment of battle, to use you as leverage. Earth will believe you were tortured. Earth will retaliate, and Litherus will strike back. Elias let out a long breath. So I'll be the galaxy's worst diplomatic piñata. Come with me, she said firmly. Now, he followed without hesitation, jogging beside her down corridors alive with sirens and flickering lights. Soldiers sprinted past, giving them suspicious glances. Elias kept his head down, muttering, Nothing to see here, folks. Just a human tourist on a very confusing guided tour. They ducked into a docking bay, where a small craft floated like an insect with folded wings. Serenya keyed the hatch, and the ship hummed awake. Elias frowned. We're stealing a shuttle? That's bold. It is mine, Serenya corrected, and boldness is necessary. They clambered inside. The cockpit was compact, filled with instruments Elias didn't recognize. He buckled himself in and immediately regretted it as the shuttle launched with stomach-lurching acceleration. Next time, Elias gasped, I want a safety briefing. Maybe some complimentary peanuts. You will live, Serenya said dryly. The shuttle darted into the void, weaving between warships bristling with weapons. Holographic targeting grids flickered across the glass, and Elias watched nervously as Earth destroyers and Litherian cruisers pointed cannons at each other. This feels like threading a needle between two angry porcupines, he said. One wrong twitch, and we're cosmic shish kebab. Quiet, Serenya ordered, hands dancing over the controls. I must concentrate. Noted. Concentration time. No jokes. Absolutely none. He lasted 5 seconds. Although if we die, I'd like it on record that this is still better than my last blind date. Her ears flicked, but she didn't look away from the controls. They slipped past the last perimeter, the shuttle stealth field shimmering like heat haze. Elias sagged in relief. So what's the plan? Please tell me you have a plan. There is an artifact, she said after a pause. A relic from before either of our civilizations learned to travel the stars. It is said to hold power over space and time. If it exists, it could force both sides into stasis, end the war before it begins. Elias blinked. That's ambitious. Let me guess, the artifact is hidden somewhere impossible, guarded by terrifying defenses, and powered by the collective tears of bureaucrats. Close enough, Serenya said. It lies within the wreckage of an ancient ship, orbiting a dying star. No one has returned from searching it. Elias whistled. So our options are: 1. Get handed over as war bait, or 2. Break into a haunted starship to steal a god machine. Honestly, option 2 sounds more fun. Then you are mad. Absolutely, Elias said cheerfully. But at least I'm consistent. The shuttle rattled as they jumped to faster-than-light travel. Streaks of color smeared across the view, and Elias pressed back in his seat, clutching the armrests. You know, for the record, humans weren't built for this. My organs are filing complaints. Then distract them with jokes. He blinked at her, then grinned. Was that encouragement? Her long ears twitched. Perhaps. Hours blurred into strange, distorted moments as the shuttle carried them farther from the war brewing behind them. Elias tried to nap, but Serenya kept muttering calculations, adjusting coordinates, and occasionally smacking the console when it beeped ominously. You know, Elias said, on Earth we have a saying, never trust a machine that beeps without explaining why. This one explains, Serenya replied. Oh, what did it say? It said we are approaching turbulence in gravitational waves. Hold on. The shuttle jolted violently, and Elias yelped. Good explanation, bad timing. When the turbulence passed, Serenya's focus softened for the first time. She looked at him, her voice quieter. You understand that if we find a relic, both our worlds may call us traitors. Elias leaned back, meeting her gaze. They already think that. At least this way, we get to prove them wrong, or annoy them beyond belief. Honestly, I'm fine with either outcome. For a long moment, she just looked at him, ears perfectly still. Then finally she smiled. And somewhere in the depths of space, as two worlds armed themselves for war, Elias thought that smile might be the only shield they had left. The wreckage drifted around the dying star like the bones of a forgotten god. Shattered hulls spun slowly, glowing faintly with residual energy. Elias pressed his face to the shuttle's viewport and muttered, Well, this looks welcoming. 10 out of 10 on the vacation brochure. Serenya guided the shuttle through the wreckage, her hands steady on the controls. The artifact is inside the core chamber. The readings confirm it. Core chamber, Elias repeated. Of course. Nothing important is ever lying around in a broom closet. They landed with a hiss of steam, and the hatch opened to a silence so heavy it seemed to crush sound itself. They stepped inside, helmets on, lights flickering across twisted corridors that seemed to warp as they moved. Elias kept up a steady stream of chatter, mostly for his own nerves. So, fun fact, he said. This place gives me the same vibe as my grandmother's basement. Creepy, dark, and definitely full of things that want to kill me. Do not compare our mission to a basement. Too late. The comparison is locked in. The deeper they went, the more the corridors pulsed with energy, like veins carrying alien blood. Finally, they reached a chamber where a crystalline structure hovered, spinning slowly, radiating waves that bent gravity. The relic, Elias whistled, looks like a disco ball built by a god with questionable taste. Serenya stepped closer, her voice low. It responds only to two bound in trust. That is what the stories say. Elias joined her, standing side by side. Trust, huh? Lucky for you. I haven't betrayed anyone all week. She gave him a sidelong look, ears twitching, then reached out. He placed his hand over hers, and together they touched the relic. Light exploded outward, and for a moment Elias thought they'd doomed the galaxy. His body stretched, compressed, every nerve firing at once. Then it all settled, and silence returned. Back in orbit, across both fleets, weapons froze mid-fire. Missiles hung motionless. Cannons refused to respond. Entire ships drifted in stunned paralysis. The relic had done exactly what Serenya promised. It had locked every act of aggression in stasis. Elias let out a shaky laugh. Well, if this doesn't earn me a medal, nothing will. Or execution, Serenya said dryly. Hey, why not both? Posthumous medal, very dramatic. They made their way back to the shuttle. The fleets were already broadcasting demands, both sides shouting over each other, but neither able to fire. Elias tapped the comm and spoke with a steadiness he hadn't felt before. This is Captain Elias Rourke. Both your guns are frozen. You can keep screaming at each other, or you can come down to the table and talk. Personally, I recommend talking. Less paperwork in the long run. Static. Then slowly, grudgingly, the shouting quieted. Negotiations began, messy and loud, but no one could deny the truth. The relic had made fighting impossible. Hours later, as the fleets withdrew under truce banners, Elias sat in the shuttle beside Serenya. He leaned back, exhausted, but smiling faintly. You know, I think I grew today. Serenya arched a brow. Grew. Not physically, Elias said. Still the same height. Still devastatingly handsome. But I stopped thinking like a soldier waiting for orders. I acted like someone who wanted to protect more than just my side. That feels new. Her long ears tilted forward, thoughtful. Perhaps you are not entirely hopeless. That's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. She looked out at the stars, her voice softer. We may still be called traitors. Maybe, Elias admitted. But traitors who stopped a war are a lot better than heroes who started one. And hey, if we're both outlaws, at least we'll have good company. For the first time, she didn't hide her smile. Perhaps. The shuttle drifted quietly as the stars burned on, warships pulling back, a fragile truce holding. Elias closed his eyes, feeling the weight of everything they'd done settle into something that almost felt like peace. Serenya, he said, voice drowsy but certain. If they call us enemies, then let's just keep being allies. The only kind that matters. She didn't answer, but her hand slipped into his, steady and warm. And in the silence of space, with two worlds forced to listen, their laughter came softly, defiant, human, alien, and alive. The end.